When I was at an intermediate level in Russian, I felt stuck. I'd done all these courses, but I just didn't know how to move forward. And then I had this chat with a Russian teacher that, well, it just changed my life because she suggested, why not try making some YouTube videos and upload yourself? Она даже показала мне примеры других иностранцев, у которых тоже были свои YouTube-каналы. Now, this advice, it made a big difference to my Russian skills. I mean, I never saw myself as a YouTuber, but once I started, I had a reason to practice speaking regularly about new unexplored topics, and the weekly uploads really pushed me to consistently improve. But here's the thing, I would have never even considered this if I hadn't had this conversation. And that's the point I want to make today. Sometimes when you're learning Russian, you might feel like you're not making any progress. You're putting in the effort, but it feels like you're just spinning your wheels. Often, the problem is that you're just too close to your own learning process. You need someone else to take an objective look at what you're doing. They can spot things you're missing or suggest new approaches that you might have never even considered. Think about it. We all have a limited amount of energy each day, right? So it's crucial to focus that energy where it'll have the biggest impact. Let's say you're spending all your time on grammar and vocabulary, but your listening skills are lagging behind. It can be tough to recognize that on your own. Or maybe you're already having conversations, but you keep using the same phrases over and over. Someone listening to you might suggest, hey, why don't you focus more on learning more common expressions? Or you really need to work on your verbs. And these kinds of insights can save you so much time and effort. Because here's the thing about learning Russian. Your weakest skill often determines your overall fluency level. If you've got great grammar but struggle with vocabulary, guess what? Focusing on expanding your vocabulary will probably improve your speaking skills much more than doing more grammar exercises. Now, let's talk about how you can apply this to your Russian learning journey. First, take a step back and try to objectively assess your skills. Where do you think you're strongest? Where do you struggle the most? Next, seek out some external feedback. This could be from a teacher, a language exchange partner, or even a Russian-speaking friend. Or you can also ask me if you're enrolled in the coaching part of Conversations Unlocked. I'd listen to you speak or a recording that you've made. And while listening, I usually get a good feeling in which areas you're lacking and where you need to focus your limited time and energy most. Then, based on this feedback, we create a focus plan. For example, if vocabulary is your weak point, maybe it's time to dive into some frequency lists or start a flashcard habit. If your listening skills need work, try increasing your exposure to Russian audio content. And there are many, many different ways that this works. Remember, the goal isn't to become perfect at everything all at once. It's about identifying the areas where a little bit of extra effort will give you the biggest boost in your overall Russian ability. Let me give you an example from a while ago for me. My speaking skills were all right, and because I'd spent a lot of time on them, and I could have decent conversations. But when it came to actually describing something, I struggled. I just said хорошо and плохо, and that was about my full knowledge of adjectives. It wasn't until someone pointed out that my Russian speech would sound so much better if I would have had more adjectives. And that's when I started taking it more seriously. I downloaded the flashcard list for adjectives and started using them more in my speech. And yes, also on that YouTube channel. And this helped me become more comfortable actually making my Russian sound better. Remember, learning Russian is a journey, and sometimes the best way forward is to get a fresh perspective. Don't be afraid to ask for help or try new approaches. You might be surprised at how quickly you can progress when you focus your efforts in the right places. So, what are you waiting for? Take a step back, assess your Russian skills, and seek out some feedback. Your future Russian speaking self will thank you. Пока-пока.